The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the producers and the individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff of the Sun Prairie Media Center, its members or underwriters, the board members of the Media Center Commission, Charter Communications, TDS Telecom, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me thinks ventriloquism is the highest form of art, and his name is Mike Roth.
It's true.
Are you thrown by the open captioning?
Yes, I am. It's right there, and
It's copying every word we say.
That makes me just want to say more words.
Don't stare at it. So this week we have 3 new movies on the marquee. I don't think they can be any more different from each other.
No.
It's kind of very specific genres of movies. And I'm going to get started with the first one. The first movie we have is from writer-director Alex Garland. It is the new sci-fi film, Annihilation. We know Alex Garland. He also wrote and directed Ex Machina 2 years ago. This movie stars Natalie Portman as a woman named Lena. She is a biologist. And we find out that a team of soldiers has entered into this environmental disaster zone and disappeared. 1 year later, one man named Kane, played by Oscar Isaac, reappears home to his wife Lena, but he has no memory of anything, how he got there, where he was. Things are very strange. He has a medical emergency. He is rushed off, and the government has him held, and they inform Lena that there is this weird zone that people are not returning from. So she, as a biologist, joins an expedition with 4 other women into this zone to seek out the answers inside what they call the shimmer. They go in looking for answers of what's going on, and the movie, once they enter the shimmer, the kind of all rules are off as far as what happens in nature in the shimmer. Within there, nature behaves very differently. Yeah. Mutations occur that could never occur naturally. There's some real weird things. And the movie itself is for a large chunk of this movie, it's very slow, very cautious, just as these women are. Very cautious about what's going on because they're seeing things that don't make sense. And visually, it's just beautiful because you're on Earth, but sometimes it doesn't feel like they're on Earth.
Oh, the visual crew was extremely creative with this. They had laws. Everything had to be Earth-based. Mm-hmm. But then once you add that mutation, and we're not talking about X-Men mutation, we're talking about inside and out, completely different. Yeah. That's where it gets extremely creative. What can you do with life, and how can you make it look more alien, but familiar at the same time? I thought that was how they did it was extremely beautiful. And sometimes terrifying.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is as the movie goes on and as this expedition moves on, they're trying to get to this lighthouse, which kind of serves as ground zero for this meteor that they think has started all this. So that's the kind of thing, we got to get to the lighthouse. And as this expedition goes further in, everything starts to get more and more crazy, and the visuals get more and more shocking, and just things start to happen where you're not quite sure. The clues are dropped to them, and they're not even sure.
Yeah. Are
we losing our sanity? Is this real?
And even though that is the main point of the story, there's also a really good sub-story, which is the lives of these people who are on the expedition and why they're there. A lot of people notice that it's an all-female cast that go into this, but they don't try to exploit that. This is just people going into an area, and each one has something in their past that makes them a candidate for what we'd call a suicide mission. And this, by all means, seems like a suicide mission. One of the things that they mentioned is the first team that went in, they never came back. And then they wanted to recreate that same situation. And I'm like, that was one of the things that I had problems with a movie, is there's some things that happen where the motivations didn't feel like they equaled up. I'd like them to have mentioned, the first team totally disappeared, but we did send one person in for 1 second, brought them out, and they were fine.
Yeah. I really like Jennifer Jason Leigh in this as kind of the pseudo leader.
She was fantastic.
The government agent kind of who has put this team together more or less, and I thought she was really good in this. Natalie Portman was great as always.
Yeah,
it's hard to get a bad performance out of her.
You really didn't have to get much out of Oscar Isaac, but he did really good.
Right, right. And the rest of the team, Gina Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson, I liked all of them. I thought they all served a purpose, and they all had particular roles that were very interesting and showed different nuances of this story. One of the things that I loved outside of the visuals of this movie was the score, this haunting score that just as the movie went along, it just grew in intensity.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to get into the end of the movie, but the score at the end of the movie, paired with what was going on, gave me actual chills. Like, I was kind of frightened by what was going on, and that score was a big part of it. It was, I don't even know how to describe it.
And that kind of makes categorizing this movie a little difficult. Yeah, it's sci-fi, but yes, it's very much horror, and it's also very much drama. All three could properly be put, how do you...
Yeah, I don't think you can pigeonhole this movie, and no. I think that's what Alex Garland is really good at. I mean, Ex Machina was brilliant, and creative, and shed a light on some new things in dealing with AI. This movie, I wasn't sure what was going on through a chunk of it. Now, I had to watch this movie twice. Just I'll tell you, the first time we saw it, when you and I saw it, I dozed off in the middle of this movie.
Oh no!
Because it is a little slow, and I was I was ready to doze off, and so I struggled with what was going on in this movie the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Because you need to be paying a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
So I went back and saw it, and I was amazed. And one of the things that I really, really like about this movie, and I hear some of the complaints about this movie, and it's the part that I like the most, is that the climax of this movie, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's an intellectual climax.
Yeah.
And rather than a big action blow-off at the end, it's very much of an intellectual blow-off at the end.
I completely agree with you. It was creepy, and if you knew what was going on, or had a sense of what was going on, it just totally makes you feel uneasy right
I was terrified in the climax of this movie.
Yeah.
And now I've heard complaints from others that don't care for the movie, like, oh, it was kind of a boring ending. I wanted to shoot him up at the end, right?
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the ending, and I don't.
Let's not do that.
Talk about the ending.
Let's not do that, because we want people to go see it that haven't seen it. Recommendations? What do you give Annihilation?
I gave it a 4. It would have been a lot higher if there wasn't some slight things that I thought could have been done different that actually kind of irked me. But as far as like a horror movie, this is fantastic. As far as a sci-fi movie, this is fantastic. As drama, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I gave it 4 stars as well. I think it's an original story. It's really creative.
Yeah,
I dig it. I recommend it. Go see Annihilation.
Yeah. Alex Garland's going to have to make another movie.
Yeah, and this puts him on the map of those filmmakers. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking for your name. What's your next movie? I'll go see it. You've built up cachet with me.
Yep.
All right, what's the next movie we have on the marquee?
Well,
sir?
I have probably the lesser known of the 3 movies, which is Every Day, based on a novel by David Levithan. It's an interesting story, extremely interesting. You have this creature or character or soul named A. This soul's problem is every day for its entire life, it wakes up in a different body. It just kind of melds with another person. A has access to their thoughts and stuff like that, but after 24 hours, he or she has to vacate that body and then go to another one. The only things that always stay the same with this is it's always in the area where the last person he occupied was, and it's always the same age. A was perfectly happy just going through body through body through body until A found someone that it really loved. The person it falls in love with is Ryona, played by Angourie Rice. She is really the only main character because A is played by 14 other actors, which, even though the acting was subpar, they all did a good job at representing the personality that A would have.
Okay.
And I found that odd when I was just doing my notes. It was like, wow, there is no actor for A. But yet I felt like A was throughout the entire story.
Oh.
This story is just extremely interesting and complicated. Just seeing someone falling in love with someone for the personality, who they are, no matter what body they're in, just seems like a beautiful idea for me. And I just wish it was directed a little bit better and acted a little bit better. The direction, there was a couple of weird dancing montages that you usually don't see since the 80s.
Really?
Which I thought was out of place. You know, they had a scene where they're just running around in a football field with squirt guns, and this is supposed to look like it lasts all day. But I know from squirt gun use myself, they don't last all day, and it's not that fun.
Okay.
But that's a minor situation. I thought the story was fantastic. I would love to have seen this explored a little bit better. But as it is,
The concept is interesting to me.
the concept was interesting and the story was fantastic. I'd like to see more of something like this.
I really like Angourie Rice. I liked her in Nice Guys. A couple years ago, I thought she was really good in that as a young actress. How was she in this?
She was okay.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
not what I wanted.
Yeah.
But she was pretty much holding up the entire movie. So I gave it a 3. I think people should go see it. I ended up liking it more over time as I was thinking about it, but originally walking out of the theater, I would have given it a 3.
Okay, interesting. Very good. The next movie we have on the marquee this week is a new film from director John Francis Daley. It is Game Night, starring Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams are a couple, Max and Annie. Max and Annie, they have a relationship that's built on a love of games and competitiveness, and they hold a weekly game night with friends, board games, all the classic games. They bring their friends together, have this game.
Except for one.
Except for their weird neighbor, Gary, played by Jesse Plemons, who is a very lonely, very awkward and creepy cop who just wants to play games, and they just don't want his weirdness.
Because he is super weird.
So there's a group of 6 of them. You also have Jason Bateman's older brother, Brooks, played by Kyle Chandler, who is he's the big shot older brother. He's a real jerk. He throws his weight around and does everything he can to belittle Max in front of his friends. So a big chunk of this movie is this intense sibling rivalry between the two of them. Brooks at one point hijacks game night, has it over at his house, and he's going to throw a murder mystery party that you'll never forget. As the game begins, there's some confusion as actual bad guys, actual murderers, come in and abduct Brooks and take him away, and everyone obviously assumes this is just part of the game.
Yeah.
This is, all right, the game is afoot, here we go. And so it then breaks off into 3 couples kind of searching for the clues to win the game. Not really knowing that Brooks is actually in trouble, and these are real bad guys that have him. Hilarity ensues as these 3 teams break off. There's some really fun characters in here. We see in the trailer here, Billy Magnuson, who plays the real dunce in this movie, dumb guy. I loved him. Last year he played a similar character in Ingrid Goes West. You loved him in Birth of the Dragon. He was the star of that movie. I
recognized him.
I thought he was kind of funny. Lamorne Morris, who I just watched in Barbershop 3, he is Kevin. I thought he was a lot of fun. And for me, the guy who stole this movie was Jesse Plemons. He was so perfectly creepy and awkward and just like
Yeah.
I've had interactions with people like this. I don't want this. He was perfect.
The kind of guy who just stands in the lawn and he shows no emotion,
Yeah.
but you know he is sad.
Is this conversation over? Because you stopped talking. Okay. Yeah, it's really weird. And I'm sitting there watching the movie and I'm laughing and I'm enjoying it. And I like Jason Bateman a lot. I like a lot of these characters. But normally, I hate films that depend on like coincidences and misunderstandings to drive the plot.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate when the entire plot could be the entire issue of a movie or a TV show could be solved by people just stopping and going, wait a minute, do you mean this or this? Oh, okay. Oh, it's totally solved.
Yeah.
But it worked for me in this one. I don't know. It's because I liked the characters and I was having fun with it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it.
I completely agree. I really liked all these characters. Justin Bateman pretty much does his same shtick that he always does, but it's always good. Well, most part, it's good.
He's good.
I know this is a minor thing. I love the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like, the camera would pan back to like the house, and everything kind of looked like a toy, and then it would
a
zip
game
right
board,
back.
like the game of life almost.
Yeah, I don't know why that thrilled me so much, but
I
every
agree.
time they did it, I was like, that is so cool.
There were some things I love in here. I mean, Lamar Norris has this great quote because multiple times in this movie, people are thrown into glass tables.
Yeah.
And none of them shatter. He's like, man, glass tables are acting real weird tonight.
And that's another thing I liked about the movie is, like you said, they separate in 3 parts, so you get a lot of bang out of this movie. You feel like you've gone on an adventure since you have 3 different stories that started at one point.
It keeps characters from being buried in the background.
Yeah.
If it's 6 of them going out, you're going to follow 3, basically.
Yeah,
But if there's teams...
I think everybody was really well represented in this movie. There was a lot of really dumb moments.
Absolutely.
But it's forgivable because it made me laugh.
One of the dumbest moments made me laugh out loud, and that was when Billy Magnuson is trying to bribe Chelsea Peretti at the agency with $17, slowly sliding some money across the table. Will this do it? How about this? That made me laugh. I've seen that scene before, but it made me laugh.
See, one of my favorite comedies is Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah.
I'm that one guy.
Yeah.
And they do that
Right.
shtick in there, and I just love
That's what I'm saying. I've seen that scene before.
Yeah.
Still worked for me. I don't know why it is. So what did you end up giving Game Night?
I give it a 3.5. It's the best comedy of the year. I'm not saying that because it's new in the year anymore. I'm pretty happy about that.
Fair enough. I give it 3.5 as well. I really dug it. Jason Bateman is just great. He's a lot of fun, and I dug his comedy.
Besides Arrested Development, I think I like him more when he is in a drama than I do.
So have you
comedy
watched
lately.
Ozarks? The Ozarks is on Netflix. It's a series that he was in last year, 2017. It is great. It is almost like a Breaking Bad type of series where he's not the likable Jason Bateman.
Okay.
He's kind of dark. He's not a great guy. He's money laundering for the mob. And it's a great series. I started watching it because of him and fell in love with it. And I'm waiting for season 2 to come out. So recommendation, go check out the Ozarks.
Once I'm finished with Altered Carbon,
Okay.
I'll watch that.
Good.
Because everybody's watching Altered Carbon.
True enough. All right. Let's take a look back, sir, in another movie all about games. In fact, I would say the first movie based on a game board. What are we flashing back to?
Well, Clue. I'm trying to figure out what else was before Clue, but nothing. Based on the popular Parker Brothers game, you have all the favorites, Miss Peacock, Miss White, Colonel Mustard, Mr. Green, Miss Scarlet, all in a room trying to figure out, of course, who killed Mr. Body.
Right.
You have a fantastic cast. You got Elaine Bremen, Tim Curry, who is one of my all-time favorite people.
Yeah.
Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull. Fantastic. All-star cast.
Right.
Still holds up today. Funny movie, and I'm actually a little disappointed that they are going to reboot this because this is cinema perfection for the 80s.
It holds up beautifully. Like, you tell me this is 1985, but it holds up wonderfully. And Tim Curry, at the height of his powers in this, I mean, he is so great. And, Tim Curry does so much heavy lifting in this movie with the dialogue and his rat-a-tat-tat delivery of so many things and just him running around and everything. He is so great in this movie.
And when this came out, the huge spark was they did something different than any other theater did. And this was pretty expensive for the time because we didn't have computers and stuff like that just pumping out stuff. But they had 3 different endings,
Right.
and you could watch them at different times depending on which theater you went to, which is just wow.
Right. I mean, that's one of the big hooks for this movie is the 3 endings. Back in the day, they would post which ending, the A, B, or C, so you could make sure you got to the ending that you wanted to. Oh, I haven't seen the B ending yet. All right, we're showing the B ending today.
And it's such a great movie where you don't mind seeing it 3 times.
Or I don't mind it when I'm watching it as they put it together, where all 3 endings we just cut. Or it could be this, or it could be that. I love it.
Yeah.
They're great. And there's so much great about this movie. I love Madeline Kahn in this movie. I think she's awesome. The set is an actual mansion. It's not a set. It's an actual house that they filmed this thing in. This house has been used in... The only thing that wasn't is the exterior was a different building. But everything filmed in here as they're running around, it's an actual mansion that was then bought and used in, I believe, Dynasty. They used it.
Did they have secret passages?
They did.
Nice.
So here's the thing, too, is when this was put together, I was reading about this, is that they took meticulous detail to make sure that the passages lined up with the game. So on the game board, this secret passage goes from here to here. It does as well in here. It wasn't just thrown together like, oh yeah, we'll just have them go through this passage and they'll pop out in this room. Like, no, in the game, they have to do this.
Yeah.
There's rules to the game.
The
There's rules to
passage
this movie.
goes from the least possible building to the room to the other least possible room.
It's so good. There was actually a 4th ending that they shot.
Really?
They did the whole thing. They screened it, and it was horrible because it was an ending where Tim Curry was responsible for everything. Wadsworth. He did all the killings because he was jealous of all these people. He did all the killings, and then he got gunned down savagely. And people were like, this is a really depressing ending. Let's not use the 4th one. 3's enough.
It's like the ending to Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great,
Right.
but no one wants to see it.
Really sad. Yeah, I mean, for me, man, you can just put Tim Curry in a mansion, roll film, I'm good. Because between this and Rocky Horror, another one where it's Tim Curry in a mansion, I'm set. Those are the 2 best things for me. I love this movie.
I do too. I watch it at least once a year, which is weird because I have a lot of other movies I should be watching since I own them, but Clue is one that pops up every year.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we have spawned off so many other games. I mean, we have Battleship.
Yeah. Well, you like the Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
Sure,
Yeah.
I like Real Steel.
But they didn't call it Rock'em Sock'em Robot,
Right.
so, they get out of that.
You know, speaking of Clue, though.
I want to see Hungry Hungry Hippo.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm sure The Rock will star in that. There's a version of Clue that I want desperately, and I'm going to put it out there for the audience, too, there's a version of Clue, the Alfred Hitchcock version of Clue, that is all clues based on his movies.
All right.
That I want desperately, and I've seen it online, and it's pretty rare. It's pretty awesome, though. And so, characters and murder devices are from his movies. So if anyone wants to send us a gift for our 4-year anniversary upcoming, the Alfred Hitchcock Clue would be awesome.
Would we be sharing that?
Sure, you can play it. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look ahead at what is going to be coming out the weekend of March 9th, sir. We have 4 movies on the marquee that week. March 9th, busy week, sir. The first one is Gringo, the new movie starring Charlize Theron and a bunch of folks.
Yeah. That looks funny.
You also have The Hurricane Heist, which might be the worst movie of the year.
Oh.
I can't quite tell if it's tongue-in-cheek, if it's Sharknado, or if they're just trying to make over-the-top. We're going to have a Ocean's 11 with a hurricane.
It looks terrible.
It looks awful.
Yeah.
It looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I see that preview, I'm like, who gave them money?
Yeah. Yeah. We also have a new horror movie, Strangers 2. Think about that.
I didn't like the first one at all. I thought it was pretty weak. It's just kind of a run around and kill people type thing. There's not much of a story. I would like to see a lot of other horror movies have sequels before this one.
Well, this is the one you're getting.
Yay!
So enjoy. And lastly, we have Disney's newest film based off of a children's book, A Wrinkle in Time. I love this book. I remember reading this book a couple of times when I was a kid. I got this book for one of my sons for Christmas this year. Like, read the book. It's a great book. I can't make sense of the trailer, whether it looks like something that I'm going to enjoy.
Is this going to be a many-parter, do you think, or all one and done?
I don't know. I'm assuming one and done, but it's Disney. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of buzz. I mean, you know, it's got an interesting cast with Chris Pine and Oprah and Reese Witherspoon, among others, and crazy visuals.
For some reason, it's not tripping my trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's good because I enjoy the novel a lot, but we'll see. But those are all the movies that are coming out March 9th. Speaking of movies and release dates, sir, hot off the presses, as we were about to sit down here in the studio and record this show, there was an announcement from Disney and Marvel Studios that Avengers, the new Avengers movie that was due to be coming out May 4th, has been bumped up. They've moved it up a week.
Ooh.
So April 27th now you're going to be getting the new Avengers movie. So if you were looking forward to that, it's coming 1 week sooner for you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm very curious on how they're going to shove all these characters all into one without it making seem like it's just constant
A big
cameos.
old mess.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I don't have to figure that out.
No, they got people making a lot more money than we do.
Absolutely.
Figuring
What could go
that out.
wrong?
No, it just ruined the whole franchise.
No problem. I think they're still printing money, though. I mean, no matter what, that movie's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah, no
It's
matter
just
what.
Silly. All right, before we leave you, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, The Palace. Marcus Theaters, thank you for sponsoring our show. We do appreciate it. We love coming into the Dream Loungers. If you want to find more from us, you can find us online. We're on Facebook, Real Reviews TV, or on Twitter, @Real Reviews TV. You can find our episodes on YouTube if you search Real Reviews, KSUN. Or you can find the previous 200 episodes to this if you go to sunprairiemediacenter.com and click on the on-demand player. They're all there.
Yeah.
It's-
And Marcus Theaters has more than just new movies. They also do some retro movies,
Yeah.
at least one every week.
Philadelphia Story.
Yeah, that's. What are we going to do with that?
We'll see. Of course, if you're seeing this now, the Oscars are this weekend. I'm very excited for that. We'll be talking about the Oscars next week.
I will be watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not lining up with your birthday, though.
I'm sorry.
That's too
I
bad.
already had the birthday. Last year, it all fell together on one time.
Yeah, you need to talk to someone about
I'm
that.
going to make some calls.
There we
Call
go.
the Academy. Hey, guys. Let's get this all squared away. It was really
Actually-
nice to have cake.
Yeah, and it was a great birthday party.
It was. And a
Now you
cake that
can't
had-
have a great birthday party
a
because
cake
we
with
don't
La
have
La
Oscars.
Land on it. It was
You did.
Sweet. Yeah. People video conferencing in.
I have to say that's like one of my favorite Oscars, just because.
Because of the mishap?
Yep.
How many times do you think that's going to be referenced in the opening monologue?
At least 5.
Oh my gosh.
That-
Yeah.
It's throughout the whole show. They're going to mention it at least
Yeah.
5 times. Because
Somebody's going to pull the fake name out?
Yep. They're
Are
going.
they going to have Warren Beatty go up there and do it?
Warren Beatty's not invited.
They
I'm
got him
sure.
locked up
Yeah,
with-
they're
with
like,
Outback.
you are going to New York.
Sorry, Warren, we love you, but
Yeah.
you just can't touch an envelope anymore.
Great and Dick Tracy.
He was. So next week we're going to be talking about, besides the Oscar recaps, we're going to be talking about Red Sparrow, the new movie from Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And we also have Death Wish, the remake of the Charles Bronson franchise starring Bruce Willis.
Red Sparrow.
Yes.
I wanted to be on my list of movies that I was really looking forward
Really?
to. Yeah.
Almost made the cut, huh?
It's just because, same thing with Life.
Mm-hmm.
I associate it with another comic book character, and
Yeah.
I know your friend
This is
mentioned
Black
it
Widow.
too. This is Black Widow. Black Widow is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm more curious to see what Death Wish does because that franchise was pretty terrible back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not a fan of Bruce Willis. So this could all be a big conglomeration of garbage. But we'll see, and we'll be talking about it next week right here on the show. But until that time, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.